Hi, folks. Just giving you a fast bunch of facts about The Scream by Monk, also called Munch. Sorry if I mispronounced that. It's pretty much a shriek through time. The madness and mystery of Monk's The Scream. Art history is full of serene Madonnas, stately gentlemen, dramatic biblical narratives, but occasionally a painting comes along that captures pure existential dread. Enter Edvard Munch's The Scream, the most relatable painting ever created. Whether you've missed a deadline, sent an embarrassing text, or looked at the state of world affairs lately, chances are you've felt this painting on a deeply personal level. With its swirling sky of fire, a face frozen in silent terror, and an atmosphere of sheer panic, the scream is nothing short of visual anxiety attacks. But what's behind this masterpiece of unease? Is it a self portrait of an artist on the verge, a ghostly apparition, or just a Norwegian guy who forgot his code? Let's dive into the madness and find out for a minute. Now, this is a scene of pure horror, as you might be able to say. Or, some might call it a pleasant evening stroll, but I wouldn't. Painted in 1893, The Scream is actually part of a series known as The Frieze of Life, which explores love, angst, and death. So all the lighthearted topics, but Monk himself described the inspiration behind the painting. And this is kind of fascinating. He was walking along a ford, or fjord as they call it, in Oslo, when suddenly the sky turned blood red. I stopped, he said, leaned against the fence, dead tired. I sensed a scream passing through nature. A scream passing through nature. If that's not the most poetic way to describe an anxiety attack, I don't know what is. But who or what is actually screaming? Many assume it's the figure in the foreground, but Monk himself hinted that it's actually the landscape itself that is howling. Suddenly, it all makes sense. The figure isn't screaming, it's covering its ears to block out the noise, which let's be honest, is a pretty big mood. Now let's talk about symbolism. The scream isn't just visually unsettling, it's symbolically loaded. First, we have that feverish red sky. Some historians believe that this was inspired by a volcanic eruption in 1883 when Krakatoa explosion sent shockwaves through the atmosphere, resulting in spectacularly eerie sunsets worldwide. Others argue that the sky represents emotional turmoil, a blood red expression of inner distress. Either way, this is not the kind of sunset we enjoy with a cocktail. Then there's the skeletal figure. Is it a ghost, a man in despair, an early version of a horror movie monster? Monk based its eerie, distorted shape on a Peruvian mummy he saw at 1889 Paris Exposition, a fact that makes the painting even creepier. And don't forget the two shadowy figures in the background, calmly walking along as if they don't see an entire existential crisis unfolding right in front of them. Maybe they're strangers, maybe they're ignoring the main figure's distress, or maybe, just maybe, the original bystanders of the not my problem mentality. Who knows? Now, The Scream is a masterpiece that refuses to stay put. It's not a single painting, it exists in multiple versions. Munch had actually created four versions, plus a handful of lithographs. Why? Because when you paint something this hauntingly good, why stop at one? Unfortunately, the painting's fame has made it a favorite among art thieves. In 1994, a version was stolen from the National Gallery in Oslo, only to be recovered in a sting operation. Then in 2004, another version was stolen from Munch's museum by armed robbers. Yes, armed robbers. That's how valuable Panic is. Thankfully, that version was also found 2 years later. Lesson learned. If you paint an image of eternal suffering, people will want to steal it. And so let's go into why it resonates so much still. Few paintings have embedded themselves into pop culture as deeply as The Scream. It's been parodied endlessly. The Simpsons and memes of stressed out students. It has inspired horror movies like The Scream. Anyone? Halloween masks. And of course, every person who ever looked at their bank account and gasped in despair. But its lasting power isn't just due to its meme ability. It's because the Scream captures something deeply universal. Monk painted raw human emotion, an image of anxiety that transcends time and place. In a world full of uncertainty, the Scream still speaks to us loudly and terrifying, soundless, existential way. So, the final breakdown. Monk's The Scream is many things: a masterpiece of expressionism, a symbol of anxiety, and quite possibly the most famous panic attack in art history. It's painting that doesn't just depict fear, it is fear. And that's why, over a century later, it holds up. So next time you're standing in a museum staring at the Scream, remember, it's okay. We've all been there. And if life gets overwhelming, just take a deep breath, cover your ears, and join in the silent, eternal shriek of existence.